Welcome to the Progressive Mind Show. My name is Senna, aka Alinko. Today is April 23rd, and also soon, April is coming to an end. We're about to enter into May, and if you thought this year is not going to go fast, here you go. Looks like we are about making it to half of the year already. But one thing we know is that God has been good. We hear a lot of things has happened, both personally and socially and publicly to so many of us. But we have been kept safe, those of us who are on this platform, those of us who have tuned in. One thing we are sure of is that we are here, we have our breath, and we are alive. And so we are grateful. We want to thank you all for joining so far. Those of you, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. This is the #1 community building show in the world. And so here we like to engage members of the community to look at pertinent issues that we grapple with as a people in our communities and individually to see how we can bring dialogue to solve some of these issues and impact our societies for the better. So please feel free to be part of this conversation. We'll be giving the phone lines is already on the screen. It's at the right bottom corner of the screen. So you can always ring in and share your opinion or ask questions or just be part of the show just as a commentator. You can also just say hi to some of your friends who are on the screen or on set at this moment. This evening, we are privileged to have all these beautiful queens who are also very successful in their endeavors as professionals and entrepreneurs. And we will be looking at this very important conversation, connecting the dots with diaspora, Africa diaspora women. Without much ado, I want to go straight to our guest this evening. It looks like we have DAMARES on here stage with us. DAMARES, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
DAMARES, is you're welcome. Now I'm gonna need you to switch your phone sideways so we can get you on. So we'll be back to that. Now let's start with the introduction. GLOMERY SERRA is not a stranger. She's been here before. GLOMERY, thank you so much for making it back to the show again to engage with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And she's also an analyst, and no, she's a customer service manager. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. And a realtor. She owns her own property. So a businesswoman and a professional. Thank you for making the show this evening. NGOUEN. Is that correct?
It's EDIGE NGOUEN.
EDIGE NGOUEN. She is also an entrepreneur, mother, professional. Thank you for making it to the show. I know this is your first time.
Yes, thank you for having me on, Senna.
Pleasure. Pleasure's mine. And then next to her is PILAR, my own sister. We've been knowing each other for a long time. PILAR, this is the first time you were here?
Yes, I'm so excited.
All right. Thank you so much for making PILAR. Is also a professional. She's a great mother, a community activist.
Senna,
I just think we had a little glitch there. My apologies. But Pilar AUDAIN, thank you so much for making it to the show this evening.
Thank you.
Next to Pilar is okay. So DAMARES, I think you may have to go back to the previous set because this is why it's not looking good. So next to her is SADIE Walker.
Yes,
Star.
Yes, SADIE Star Walker, yes.
Brilliant. She's a radio host and also a professional. Thank you so much for making it. This is the first time we've been knowing each other since maybe 2018 or something.
Yes, 2018.
Wow. It's been a long time, but thank you so much for making it to the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so DAMARES, I think your set is still not set up right, so you might want to switch back. There you go. So we're having a little of challenge. We would try and get DAMARES back into the fold. But ladies, let's begin with your professions. I know you all have great businesses or careers going on. So let's start with Edgewick. Is it Titan or Titan?
It's TITUN cocktails.
Titan cocktails. What is it?
So TITUN cocktail is actually a line of product, non-alcoholic product made from premium, organic, and natural flavors. And it actually brings up the flavors of Africa. We wanted to create a beverage that reminds us of back home. So we use ingredients like coconut, pineapple, passion fruit, ginger, lemongrass, and whatnot to really create flavors that we will enjoy, us from African descent, Caribbean, and even on the Asia side.
Thank you for sharing that with us. How long have you been doing Titan?
Well, making cocktail and mixing cocktail has always been a passion of mine. I have to say that it probably goes back to my childhood, probably second grade, where I was already mixing different things and have friends taste it. But as a profession, I started doing this for the crowd back in 2014, 2015, and finally incorporated the company and made it a business, a full business in 2018.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. We would look more into Titan cocktails. Perhaps try it. I know maybe I don't know if all of us drink here. All of us, I mean, how many of us are non-alcoholic folks?
Awesome.
Okay. Only SADIE is okay. So you don't have, so you only lost one customer on this show, but all of us are drinking. So we definitely will patronize. We're social drinkers. We just drink when we go to parties. We don't have any drinks in our houses.
Yeah.
Pilar has a ton of drinks in their house. No, I'm joking.
Senna, the beauty about a non-alcoholic drink is extremely inclusive.
Yes.
It's for both non-drinker and drinker.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Share and enjoy the same flavors.
Absolutely. Thank you for I was trying to poke at my own sister Pilar. So that was on the light side. But thank you for clarifying that for us. Pilar, community healing, what exactly is that for those who don't know what it is?
I just wanted to say really quick that Edwidge, I'm definitely going to get some of your non-alcoholic beverage for my bar. But greetings, community activism. I would like to say that I am a former infectious disease epidemiologist. I always that was kind of my past life, but I always like to bring that to the forefront because it actually informs the activism that I do. So as an activist, I am associate director for an initiative here in the city called Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation. Funny that those three things actually inform my activism, the art of telling the truth and being a truth teller, the work that it takes for us to heal from racial trauma, and then the transformation that's very necessary for us to move forward as a people.
Right.
And I am founder of a not-for-profit located on the south side of Chicago called the Rap Your Beauty Movement, which is a shout to the Gele, the Nigerian inspired Gele.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. SADIE?
Yes.
Same question. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sadie Starr. Last name Walker. I'm a radio host. I'm a host on Soul 106.3 FM channel out in Chicago. So also is we do internet too. So if you in a different country, state, whatever it may be, you can tune in to my show. It's called the Sadie Starr Show. I come on every Sunday from 8 to 9 p.m. That's on Soul 106.3. So if you guys looking for commercials, want to advertise your business, whatever it may be, I'm the one to talk to. So I can put you on the station and market your creativity. Also, I'm a shoe designer too. I design my own shoes. I have a shoe company. It's called Sadie Shoes. So I design my own shoes as well. And I also have a Roku channel as well. It's called Stan TV. It's on Roku. So check it out.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. And sometime during the show, you might have to, if you have to take off the shoe, the one you were wearing, if it's somewhere, you may have to show it to us.
Oh,
We'd like to see it. Okay. sometime we'd like you to show it to us. But let me ask this general question. We all understand when we say the African diaspora, we all know what it is. Personally, let me ask you, GLOMERY, you've lived in New York and in Chicago, but as a lady from the Latino community, what has been the sentiments when it comes to Latino people, Latino women, and let's say other Black and brown women from the other diaspora communities, from your own experience?
Yeah, so I think that sometimes we group Latinos as like all one, but we're not a monolith, right? So there's like indigenous Latinos, there are, white Latinos, there are Afro Latinos, there are mixed Latinos. So I think it's more so like how you personally identify, but it's not something like, it's not a monolith, so we're not all the same. And I think that that's usually the narrative. I'm Dominican American, so I was born in Harlem, New York, and born and raised in New York, and I've been in Chicago now for almost 4 years. So I think that in the context of the US, race can be sometimes very ambiguous. It's either like you're this, you're that. And I think that for someone as myself, I identify as an Afro-Latina, I'm just light-skinned Afro-Latina. It can be sometimes difficult because you don't neatly check off any box. So yeah.
Again, in your personal experience dealing with other women from the other diaspora communities, what has been the experience for you? Have you experienced these type of animosity towards each other that we know about? Have you experienced that personally?
Well, I think that because the type of household that I grew up in, I don't know how familiar, but people are with the history of the Dominican Republic in the context of like Blackness. We have had historically a lot of like issues because, we border with Haiti. So there have been a lot of like anti-Blackness sentiments that have been spread necessarily in our country. But I think that like my generation, Dominican Americans are more aware of these things, and we're trying to kind of change that narrative.
Okay.
But I feel like for me, in the context of like other women of the diaspora, I think it all depends of like where, because I feel like growing up in New York, there's so many Dominicans. So I think it's like people are more familiar with our culture and who we are. So I think it all depends on the spaces that we occupy or you're in, and more so like how you personally identify, right? Because I'm a conscious and aware Dominican, but not all women that look like me and have my complexion feel that way.
Yeah. Okay. We'll come back to sharing again some of the stereotypes that exist, even though you are aware. And so you may not necessarily carry on the stereotypes, but you're also informed or in the know of how those who may not know see of each other, right? Or perceive of each other's culture. So we'll come back and probably you can throw more light on that for us. But you see, Pilar, one thing that I'm thinking about as she explains the different Latino groups, do you think that as a people of the Black and brown skin in America, we already are coming from all these very diverse I'll say communities, backgrounds, to the point where even within us there's so much confusion to let alone try to identify with somebody? Is that the case?
Oh my goodness, yes. Working with the migrants, our beautiful neighbors who are here in the city right now, out of the mouths of babes. I would be remiss not to give a shout to a young lady, a young Venezuelan girl who attended a circle that I curated with my team in partnership with the mayor's office. And it was to bring Black children and brown children together in a way that is beneficial, where they could try to see themselves in one another. And it was a room full of Black children and brown children. And it was the youngest little brown girl in the room came over and said in Spanish to our translator that she didn't understand Black and brown. Like she was saying where I'm from, we're all the same. Her question was, what is this? Right. And we all had to have a moment of silence. Myself being a first generation Trini, growing up on the south side of Chicago, with a grandmother who is Carib, from Arawak descent, with a great grandmother from Martinique and a grandfather from Cuba. My name is Pilar, which comes from Venezuela, which I could literally see the border from my grandmother's backyard. We're such a beautiful melting pot, and we're so the same, and it's daunting. The hard lines that are drawn here in this country to keep us separate, to pit us against one another, and to keep us from seeing ourselves in one another.
I'm sorry, Pilar, you're making a great point, but a call just crept in. We weren't ready for the phone calls yet, but we'll have this caller just get her message out. Tell us your name, please, and where you're calling from. We would open the phone lines later officially, but now that you are in, please go ahead.
You said there's a caller on?
Yes. Yes. Can you all hear the caller? Okay. All right. Go ahead, caller. I'll try and communicate your message. Go ahead. Okay, so you might want to go to YouTube and view it there. So go to YouTube and type The Progressive Minds Show, and you can watch it live there. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, and somebody's also trying to connect via the guest link. So okay, so I'm seeing a whole bunch of people trying to connect via the guest link. If you are hearing me and you are in the virtual studio, please, this is only for the guests. So you can watch this show live on Facebook and YouTube. It's live on Facebook now and YouTube. Just type The Progressive Minds Show. It's plural. The Progressive Minds Show. And you can watch it on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, thank you so much. Pilar, thank you for making that valid point. Sorry for the little inconvenience. We'll come back to you again to throw more light. We do have Damares back in the studio. Damares, thanks for coming back in. Yes, thank you. A little bit about yourself, please.
Oh, well, my name is Damares. I am from Brazil. I've been in Chicago over 13 years now. And I am on the community, on Latin African community, because I am Brazilian. But I consider myself, because so many different considerations, is Afro-Latino.
Okay. So you identify yourself as Afro-Latino?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. We may get some, I think we all need education here, because in my mind, folks from South America or Brazil, South America, are classified as South Americans or Latino Americans, Latino Americans. So Pilar and GLOMERY, you probably would know a little bit more about this. So feel free to educate us. But thank you for giving us that background, Damares. I asked a question earlier about your general sentiments, your personal experience about the relationship that we've had in the diaspora when it comes to women within the African diaspora. Edgewick, your personal experience. You've lived here for a long time. Can you share with us what it has been for your own from your own personal experience?
Well, I've been in the US for over 20 years, and I've moved around a little bit, lived a little bit in Michigan, um, on the north side of Michigan, where diversity is not that big. So I was definitely in school being the only person of color in my major, in my classes, and in most of the things that I was doing. After that, I moved to South Florida, where it's a melting pot of South America and the Caribbean and everything. And it felt more like home because I started seeing a lot of people, a lot of more people of color down there and thriving, and you feel acclimated. But it's very interesting, this whole concept of Afro Latinx and all that. I was really not aware of the separation. I was very much aware of the skin tone differentiation in Haiti, and the border between Haiti and the Dominican Republic has always created conflict, from what I understand. But the challenges was absolutely something that I was not aware of. So this show is definitely enlightening to me, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from you ladies.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. How about you, Sadie?
Well, I've been in America all my life.
What has been the experience for you? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just being here in America, you see so much separation when it comes to people of color. Even just looking on social media, you just see so much, with the separations with the women. You got African American women going against the women from Africa, Haiti, or Nigeria. And it'd be like vice versa. That you hear many things about when it comes to Puerto Rican, Dominicans, how, just the different statements that that's made towards women that's from America, Black America, or African American. So it's so much that's going on, and I'm just so glad that you brought us all together so we can have this community talk, so we can know each other more and just know the culture and just know different things about one another and about our families and different things. So
right,
but I never really experienced racial profile, not to my face, but I have, heard of different people going through certain things. I never had, anybody, Puerto Ricans come up to me and say anything, wrong to me or bad to me. It was always like, oh, I thought you was Black, So yeah, but there's a lot of racial, division in America, most definitely.
Great. So personally, you haven't had those type of experiences or those sentiments that's been shared around that, we don't like each other, we talk bad about each other, or we look down upon each other. You have not experienced that. Of course, not somebody coming to say it in your face, because we don't say it in our faces.
Right.
We don't do that. The talk behind and the body gestures and the attitudes is what we pick off of. But good thing is you have not experienced that, but you know about it, you've heard about it, and you said,
just like when, as far as with women of color, I've never experienced that with women of color. But of course, when you see a white person, of course, they, put the nose up or don't want to serve you or different things like that. But when it comes to women of color, no, I never experienced that.
You never experienced that. Great. That's a very good one. And so, Pilar, I want to say something, then we can go to Damares.
I was snapping my finger at Sadie, like, yeah, I love hearing that. It was like an ashe.
Okay.
But it hurt my heart to see so many different women from different nationalities that, the way we treat each other. That really hurt my heart just to see that. I really don't like it. So many different levels.
Where do you see that?
Just looking on social media, period. Just seeing like the different talks, because a lot of people have different community talks as well, and I do hear a lot of women from like Africa. They say different things about the Black community, the African community, Black community that's over here in America. I remember one time when I was working at a library. This was like many years ago. It was a Nigerian came up to me, and I was asking him about his accent. I was like, where are you from? And he told me he was from Nigeria. And I was like, oh, okay. So we got in a conversation about slavery and different things like that. And he was like, well, my family don't like, you know, African Americans. I'm like, why not? He was like, because we look at y'all as how you said, we look at y'all as cotton pickers. And I was like, wow, you know, so that was like my first time really hearing that, because it was like back in the day. So it's kind of like my first time hearing. I'm like, I never knew that. So it's like, as I got older, I started hearing more talk about how the Puerto Ricans don't like the African American women or the men, or they don't really identify as African Americans, so or blacks, period. So,
okay,
yeah.
so that was when did this happen?
This was like, oh,
Long time ago. A long time ago.
Like the early 2000s.
Okay. And that's why I asked you if you personally experienced this. And
No, it was just a conversation.
Right. It was a conversation, but they said it to you.
Yeah, he was just telling me how his parents felt. He told me, he don't feel that way about, you know, the Black community. He was saying that's how his parents, you know, it was a conversation about his parents.
Right. And it could come off. I wouldn't say it could come off. That's a narrative, and sometimes the delivery can be offensive, right? And so I don't know how it made you feel, you know, because of course you didn't share it, but that's what we're trying to get into, because those type of sentiments passed on to, you know, a child can be passed on to the next generation, and we keep sharing that, and then that forms our mentality about how and what we think of each other. So even though you may be a doctor or somebody who have succeeded in life, and a lawyer or just an entrepreneur, I'm not seeing SADIE, who is the successful entrepreneur, but I'm seeing a cotton picker, because that's what I've been told about you. So these things, yes, everybody has been through something. You know, Africans have been through colonialism. Should we be seen as, you know, whatever names that we were called in? And I think that's what we're trying to do here. So thanks for sharing. Damares, same question for you. As a lady from South America, Brazil here, have you experienced certain sentiments from other Black and brown women, whether they are African Americans or Africans, about your originality or your identity?
Yes,
go ahead.
Yes, I have. Well, I have my own experience. Before I got married, I'm separated right now. But before I got married, my ex-husband, as soon as I got here, my first time here, a lady asking him, "Why are you?" He's a Black man. "Why are you married this girl if there is so many other Black women here?" I personally felt like offended. Because what's the difference? Woman is a woman. Doesn't matter where they are from. Doesn't matter Black or Black. Maybe I'm light skinned, but I'm still Black. So I didn't really realize what she was trying to say. But I did definitely felt kind of offensive for that woman particularly. But majority, no. Most of my friends are Black women. Most of my clients are Black. But that day, I definitely felt something different. I definitely felt that she was, I don't know, maybe it was just because I'm Afro-Latina from Brazil. I don't know. I don't know what kind of feeling that she was feeling at that moment, you know. That was really, and until those days, I'm still thinking about that time.
Okay. Pilar, have you had personal experiences in this context?
Yes. One of the things that's really difficult is navigating in Chicago, navigating the segregation, because Chicago is very segregated. And you don't know when you walk into a particular community if you're going to be welcomed into that community sometimes until it's too late. And in college with one of my best friends, Carolina, who was from Chile, and myself, I'll never forget when I first went into her neighborhood in Little Village. I was about 20 years old. And she told me, before we go to my house, we have to make a stop. And we had to make a stop by one of her neighbors, because I had to get clearance to actually enter into her neighborhood. They had to have my license plate and see my face and know my name so that I could come into the neighborhood freely. And anytime I entered the neighborhood after that, I remember the neighbors, the young men and coming out the shadows, taking a look, seeing, and then I would get the chin up like, she's good. And this was mind blowing. This was mind blowing to me. And I had many experiences back then. But that was, I think, like in the 2000s, early 2000s, in the late 90s. Racial tensions here in the city were very high, and it does seem like we've made progress as women of color. There's still a lot for us to be learned, but I think the uprisings, what happened to George Floyd, I think so much of the violence that's happening in both Black and Brown communities now is forcing us, especially women of color, we're the mothers of the communities. It's forcing us with our children in schools together to actually stop and put forth the effort to be kind to one another. There are many movements right here in the city, Black and Brown movements, where we're saying enough is enough. I am you and you are me, and I'm so happy to be a part of those movements.
Thank you so much for sharing. Damares, Edric, you want to just say something?
Yeah, I do want to add something, maybe in response to the comment that Sadie made earlier. I'll tell you a little bit of my story when I came. I came as an international student from Cameroon, doing electrical engineering, which is primarily male dominant field. And like I said, I was in Michigan. There was only one other Black guy in my class, and he was from Saginaw. Throughout the 4 years that we were going through this program, I can tell you that I probably felt more racial divide, funny enough, from the guy than from the rest of my classmates. Multiple time, not once, not twice, not in one particular class, multiple classes, he will have comments such as, Edwidge and I are not the same, we are different. He's African and I'm African American. Hearing that from your classmate, same skin color, same skin tone as you, in front of the rest of these people, it broke my heart multiple times. I didn't look at him as an ally. I could never go to him if I had any question, if I needed comfort, if I needed, I couldn't. I rather I used to go to my other classmates that were from a different race than I was because of those statements multiple times. The rest of the class always looked at him like, something is wrong with you, but he was very firm on those comments. So,
and this was how many years ago?
That was in the early 2000s.
Okay, and this was an African American brother saying this to you.
Yes.
Okay, early 2000, and yeah, those were some of the things that we used to do to each other. And I feel so obviously it's a sad situation. It's and it's coming from an ignorant place, and I'm sorry that happened to you, which is why we need to know that we can't continue like that as a people. I think that begs the question: how much of this is due to slavery and colonialism? Right, that we can see somebody who clearly looks like us, features, but we can't see ourselves in them. That's the most craziest thing I think about all the time. Yeah. How much of this is attributed to slavery and colonialism? Let me start with you, Sadie.
I just think that there's a lot of self-hate that we have within ourselves. I think that it started from, slavery, or however you want to say it. I believe that they installed so much in us that, when we looked in the mirror, we just look like, okay, I don't really love myself. That's why you see so many people that carry the same hue as us, they, you know, real quick to get their skin tone changed and skin color, you know, lighter, you know. And I think it just all started with the self-hate that was installed in us from, you know, way back then, from generations. And I just believe that once we get back to the place of knowing who we are, as far as kings and queens, and knowing who we really, really are, I think that, you know, the tease and the stop, I think people will love themselves a little bit more. And like you were just saying, stating that, you know, he was African American, he carried the same, excuse me, the same hue as you. And, you know, he was telling you that, oh, we're not the same person, we're not the same people, you know. And I think that's really bad because, you know, even, you know, in our communities today, we deal with that, you know, the racial profiling within our own communities. I look at people, they tease you, oh, you too black, or you know, you too light, you know. So we deal with it. It was like, you know, it started from somewhere. It started from generations and generations where, you know, being up in what they call the master's house, you know, and they, you know, the dark skin had to stay outside when the lighter skinned people would stay inside. So it all started with that, and it just grew and it grew, and it just, you know, we just don't really love who we are because we don't really know who we are. Once we find out who we are, you know, I believe all that would change.
Who else want to maybe add to what she said or respond to the same question? How much of all of this self-hate is attributed to or connected to slavery and colonialism?
I can jump in.
Yes.
I definitely agree with SADIE. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
That's okay.
Sadie. I think it's the mindset of like divide and conquer. Also, we're a product of colorism in our communities, right? Like, and to SADIE's point, like we came from that mentality of like, it's the house Negro and the field Negro, and so like that divisiveness have been instilled in us from the very beginning. So you know, we base this off of that. You know, I feel personally that I've always known who I was, because I grew up in a household where I knew I was a woman of color and I was very clear. But I think the world hadn't caught up yet, you know. You know, in the Dominican Republic, you can have family members of all shades. You know, my grandmother was a really dark-skinned woman. My mother is my complexion. You know, her father's her complexion. My aunt's dark skin. You know, so it's like it's a mix. You know, and so like to that girl that I forgot who else from the panel was talking about, that little girl from Venezuela was like, we're all the same. I was like, yeah, because in, you know, the Caribbean and a lot of Latin American countries, like we're all, you know, in the same kind of like family with all kind of colors and shades. But yeah, I think the sentiment comes back to knowing who we are as people.
Yeah.
And also like having those uncomfortable conversations with each other. I think in the context of the US is very hard because everything is so centered around race here. You know, that even a woman as myself that does own being a woman of color, it can be very uncomfortable because I'm not black enough, I'm not white enough, you know? So it's like I'm racially ambiguous. And it's more so in the context of being here in Chicago. In New York, I don't really feel that as heavily, but in Chicago, it's, I believe, the most segregated city in the country. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else want to add to this? Okay, Edric, and let me know, Damaris, if you want to make a point on this. Okay, I have. If not, I have a question for you. Actually, go ahead, Edric.
I want to say that whether it's colonialism. Yes, sorry, I'm a French speaker, so don't mind my words.
We understand.
Whether it's that or slavery, this has already happened. And I don't really think, yes, it was definitely at the forefront at the beginning when separation happened, but it's happened. But in the last 20 years, I can tell if you live in America, you've seen a huge change from where this guy, my classmate, used to be and the rest of African American used to be to where we are today.
Right.
So I think what's happening is the opening of information. It's now two worlds that are very easy, that communicate easily with each other. And people are starting to understand that we are the same, and it's changing. So I don't necessarily want to blame that on what happened in the past. I want to say that we just need to have more of an open way of informing each other. It's information, it's passing on, because we've had conversation back in those days, and there was a great divide between you sold our grandparents and you guys sent us a slave, and that's not what we're being taught in Africa. It's a big challenge, and we didn't understand where it all came from until now. We're getting more into the activism, understanding our neighbors, our friends, and we're getting together and we're sharing a little bit more. So
yeah,
that's a huge change.
Let me ask you a direct question. Thank you so much for sharing that. Do you personally feel, or have you felt all this time that you've been in America, that perhaps somewhere in you, the Black American women don't like you, or don't have the same regard that they would have for their fellow, for another Black American? Because of your accent, or you're from Africa? Sorry.
Liking is not the right term. I think once they get past the accent and the difference, they understand that we are the same. I live in a neighborhood where most of my neighbors, we have a very diverse neighborhood, and it's different. I can say from 20 years ago, the way that now the African American are approaching the African and embracing and trying to learn more.
I understand that. The question is, have you felt during these years somewhere in you that the community, the African American community, or people from the African American community don't really see you or fellow Africans as equal to them, or they kind of look down upon you? Have you ever had this type of feeling?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. That's what I want. Okay, that's what and you see it that is because of your Africanness. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, your tradition and how you carry yourself, your accent. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing that. And I think that it's very important that I also want to find out from Damares, in Brazil, do you have this colorism sentiment where the lighter skinned women feel better than the darker skinned women, and vice versa? Is that the animosity in Brazil?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
Blacks in Brazil, there is a very racist country. I'm gonna put this way. Okay. But in Brazil, we usually say, "Oh, we are not racist," but we are very racist, because you can see the majority of rich people, wealth people, it's a white people. The blackness, if a neighborhood that is the same structure, black, dark skin black, or that light skin black, we don't have that difference. We treat everybody the same.
Okay.
Not because my color is my hair is curly and the other it's more thick. We don't do that. We really don't. Like a black woman, dark skinned woman, and a light skinned black woman, we respect each other.
Okay, great. And so the racism is more between the white Brazil and the light, of course, white Brazil and darker Brazil, black and brown Brazil, right?
Yes.
Not with you.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to add, because I lived in Brazil too for like a year. I lived in Rio, and I would say that when I did a homestay, this was like in 2011, and I was living in Leblon. My home was Leblon is like very like an upscale neighborhood, very very like rich neighborhood. Yeah. So when I first came, my host mom is a white Brazilian woman, and she was really taken aback to look at me, and she was expecting a blonde, blue-eyed exchange student, and I'm not that, right? So this was around the time that Obama was our president, and I was like, well, don't you see my president is black? I feel like in Brazil, from my opinion, and as a foreigner living there, I think it's more class and race, and it's also, I think it's kind of like undertone racism, right? Like I feel like in the US is overt, like it's right in your face, it's direct, but in Brazil it's covert. So it's like under the table kind of, you know?
Okay.
So like I think people are like polite and kind and nice, so they don't want to, it's not like as upfront and forward as it is here. But I would definitely say that it exists because everybody who lived in the favelas were Black. Like I didn't really see that many light-skinned, blue-eyed, you know, Brazilians in the favelas, which are the shanty towns,
Right.
you know, like the slums. So yeah, I think it's class and race in Brazil.
So do you want to respond to that, Damares?
No, I agree with her because usually go to Brazil, people will be like, we are not racist, but you see that it is a lot of racism in Brazil. Exactly what she said. The light-skinned people, they are the rich. Like the white people, they are the rich. And especially that in Brazil, we don't really have middle class. Our middle class is really low. And or you rich, or you poor, or you very well in the middle, not much. But usually the rich people is the white people. And again, like she said, they try to put on the table, they treat you nice, but they don't want you to marry their family. That's no, forget that. Forget that. You know, they will treat you nice, they will talk to you, but you definitely can feel. You feel as much polite they are with you, you're gonna feel that they are treating you different.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. GLOMERY, being from the Dominican Republic originally and knowing that terrain very well, and I think I'm going to ask this question. You and Pilar can respond to this. Is there also colorism issue when it comes to that region? Darker brown ladies feeling a bit kind of way, intimidated by the browner ones and the lighter ones. How is that?
Well, you know, if you study a little bit about the history of the Dominican Republic, we had a dictator, and his name was Trujillo, and he instilled this anti-Blackness sentiment. So, you know, he had these like colors to classify people. Like trigueñito would be like light skin, morena, like Black. You know, so being that we have this tension because we share an island with Haiti. He had this ideology of wanting to purify the race in our country, you know. So I think that those sentiments stayed with the people, you know, and to this day, similar to Brazil and similar to a lot of Latin American countries, there is this hierarchy based on race, you know. If you're lighter skin, you're probably well off, you know. And if you're darker skin, you know, you're probably more on the lower, you know, poverty kind of thing. So I think that this is kind of like what happens throughout Latin America, to be honest. And I think that's a direct result of, you know, colonialism.
Colonialism. Yes, yes. Pilar, I know you can speak to the Barbados, Trini, the Jamaicans and Caribbeans. Same situation?
Yeah, it's, you know, my observance has been just the backlash of a caste system. The caste system, you know, unpopular opinion, you know, if my family in Trinidad are watching, they might, you know, smack me over the head for even saying this, but it's still, from what I observe, it's more subtle, but it's still in place. And it's the Eastern Indians and the Africans, basically. And so the fairer skin Eastern Indians, it's not uncommon to go into businesses and see them in the forefront and see the darker African Trinis in the back. And so, and where I really got to see the impact of that is not even in Trinidad, because the Trinis are very communal, right? So the Africans kind of tend with the Africans, the Indians tend with the Indians, and you have communities where there's some intermixing for the most part, or the mixture of the two, what they call Douglas. And so, but when my family began to migrate to the States, right? That's where I'm really able to see the pain and the hurt. It translates kind of like an arrogance, where it's like hurt people, because I myself have been hurt by continental Africans as well as West Indians, you know, and I am a West Indian myself. And it's because of an arrogance oftentimes that those who, I'm raised here, but oftentimes those who are coming from that caste system are in pain, and they reflect the very treatment that they themselves have endured if they do not have an opportunity to truly go through the healing process. Hence my activism and my healing work. I myself have, Senna, you know, well, you may or may not know that I have myself through my Gala Day brought Continental Africans and West Indians together with African American women in the homes of elders. Dr. Carol Adams, if she is listening, know she could vie for the fact that I have asked if we could borrow her rooftop so that I could bring women of color across the diaspora to come together and have these conversations so that we could stop hurting one another.
Right. Right. No, I'm aware of your program, and we will talk about it in a little bit. It's 3 minutes to 7 p.m. You are watching the Progressive Mind Show. This evening, we are having a conversation, connecting the dots with African diaspora women. We are looking at our differences, what has been the causes of those differences, and what we can do collectively to unlearn some of these things that has been embedded in our subconscious that cause us to treat each other the way we do, not necessarily in a positive manner, but rather and rather look at everybody else as our friends, but for our own, right? But for the people that look like us. So if you want to be part of the conversation by way of call, the number is 815-277-5047. And I know someone was trying to call in, but we were not there yet. So you can call now. It's 815-277-5047 if you want to be part of the conversation. In the next 2 minutes, we would get some comments that have come through our Facebook and YouTube feed, and then go back to our guests. We probably as well in for the past 5 minutes. Hello, caller. Hello. Hello, caller. Yes. I know. So go ahead. I know my guest cannot hear you, but I'll deliver the message. Please go ahead. Did you all hear what you were saying? Okay. So you said, how can we solve the problem of... Okay. How can we solve the problem? Yes, he's talking about solution, and we will get to, yes, we'll definitely get to solutions in a bit. But now that you've asked it, let me start from GLOMERY and we come all the way down. He's asking these things we have identified, these issues that we're grappling with as Black and brown people in the diaspora. How can we solve them? I'll start with you, GLOMERY.
I think by having these uncomfortable, transparent conversations, I think that you know, all of our experiences are valid. I think just having the capacity to listen to each other's honest experiences, and doing that self-work and self-reflection, and honestly being honest with our own unconscious biases, you know, that either are passed down through our families, through our communities, through our culture. And, you know, breaking those things down, you know, sometimes we're told certain things, but if you don't experience people and aren't around diverse groups of people, then you believe it as true. But if you allow yourself to be in spaces with all people and really see their humanity, I think that's the best way to, you know, overcome these
challenges. All right. Thank you so much. Edgewick.
So for me, it's really about number one, resetting your stereotype or your mind about the other communities. You need to reset, number one. Number two, you need to be extremely open to hearing and listening and try to understand. And number three, be intentional in your actions. Be intentional about gathering, promoting, and helping that community. Not everybody really understands, and it's our job to be extremely intentional about being inclusive.
Right, right. I like that. Thank you so much, GLOMERY and Edwidge for sharing. I know I've been butchering the name for some time now. My sincere apologies, but I think I got it this time. Edwidge. Damares, solution.
I think that we should allow ourselves to know the other before we usually get to judge before you allow yourself to know the other person. You judge by the color, you judge by the clothes, you judge by the person walking. We always judge the other before get to know. Before get to know, we should know before, and then you make a judgment. If you do your judgment before you know the person, you're always going to be judge, and no one going to be good enough for be your friend to get to know the other. Less judgment. That's my point.
Less judgment. Less judgment. Less judgment. Thank you for sharing, Damaris. We'll come back to you next, Pilar, and then Sadie.
Similar to what Edwidge was saying, I just think we should be the love that we want to see, you know, in the world. Just be it, and walk in our blessings and take on the responsibility of teaching others what we know in our hearts to be true. Like I bear the responsibility as a first generation Trini when I hear my Black American sisters who, when I ask them where are they from, and they don't know, they don't have that connection and that tie to their homeland or to their history, but I do, right? And so if I'm treated a certain way, I take it upon myself to connect with those sisters and really be open and empathetic and share, and then bring them into the culture, right? And then maybe encourage their own pilgrimages to try to find their own connection to the motherland or to the West Indies. You know, we have to really lean in and help, and not just in word, but also in deed.
Indeed, and which is what one of the programs that you have, right?
Yes.
You are actually, you know, being about it. And so I want to get Sadie's response too, and then we can come to exactly the program that you have, which is catering to, which is actually the solution that you just talked about. Sadie, the way forward to this disconnect among the diaspora.
I agree with all the ladies. Just about, you know, just learning who you are. The most important thing, we got to have patience with each other, because the patience is just so short when it comes to people of color. We just don't have patience. We don't take the time out to get to know one another and to embrace other cultures, you know, and to embrace. I love hearing stories about people, grandmothers and stuff, you know, come from other, you know, Caribbean nations or whatever. I just love to hear the stories of the things that they've been through, the things that they overcame. And I think once we start promoting love in our communities and start loving one another and stop just looking at the fact, oh, you from here or you from here, and just look at, we all the same people, you know, we all the same. We just come from a different background, but I look at it as just all the same. And we just got to start back promoting love. You know, we come from love. We are love. We are beautiful people of color, and we really, really come from love. Everything that we do that's bad, we was taught this. And that's one thing we have to really know. We was taught how to do wrong. We was taught how to do bad, but really, in reality, we really come from a place of love, from a place of family, from a place of tribes. And I believe once we get back to that place of having patience, of rebuilding our communities again, rebuilding the Black communities, and I think we'll be all right. You know, we just got to get other people from out our space and stop going with the old way of thinking and just go back to the way how it used to be. When I say the old way, I'm talking about that way of, you know, oh, I came off a boat or this and that. Just go back to love, and it's in us. It's implanted. The Bible says, you know, He put it in our hearts. So it's in our hearts. It can't leave us. is implanted in us. So we know right from wrong. So once we get back to loving each other, like I said, we kings and queens. We come from royalty. So yeah.
You've said royalty about 2 or 3 times now, and I love it because that's what we're about. That's what we're about. So thanks for keep bringing that up, and I'm about to share what we're doing in regards to royalty, going back to it, promoting it, wearing it, because it's ours. We've been taught and told to relinquish it, to not even pay attention to it, as if it wasn't important. In Ghana, for instance, the thrones of our kings are called stools. So when they're going to enthrone someone, a king, they call it enstulment. Now, mind you, these were all things that were done intentionally by the British, so that, because you remember, the British colonized Ghana, they were there, and the queen had her throne in Ghana. So a king in Ghana, yours has to be relegated, so your throne has to be called stool. And you know, when the kings and the queens sit down, they have a stool that they put their feet on. And so me as an African Ghanaian, we call our chiefs, we call our the kings, a way to deliberate. I keep getting this calls. And, okay. I'm going to take this caller. But I think I just keep getting this technical glitch. It's not coming through. I tried to pick it up, but it's not happening. But my point is, can you imagine us calling our kings chiefs? Because we were thought to call them that, because they couldn't see our kings being equivalent to their titles, right? And then the thrones, we call them stools. Crazy. And so we have to unlearn these things and understand that ours is also good. We have to be very prideful with it. When I saw the coronation of King Charles on TV, the whole world was watching it. Now Africans have a ton of kings. It started with us. Can you imagine an African king being enthroned and it being on TV and CNN? Nobody cares about it, because they don't want us to know how significant ours is. So if we don't take responsibility to promote ours and to show the world how prideful we are and how proud we are about it, if you don't wear it with confidence, then the next generation are going to be in a more corrupt and disoriented, confused society. So thank you all for coming. Go ahead, Sadie. I know this royalty thing is very special to you. I'm joking.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I think once we start supporting one another, we support so many different. I'm saying a lot of agents. I've been seeing like a lot of agents, you know, that's in Africa now. They have like different, I guess, different stores that they're starting to build, you know, in that nation now. And I believe that once we start coming together and start supporting one another and supporting the Black business and just growing from that place, because I was reading something on, it was on a blog today where they were saying that it was some agents, they, I guess, had like a supermarket or something like that. I think it was in Nigeria, and how they were saying, you know, no Blacks allowed. And, you know, only Asians is able to go inside the store. And I was reading, I said, wow, like it's just trying to start all over again, you know, it's trying to start in a nation where based on the roots of Africa. And I just thought that was just a crazy, I thought that was just crazy, but yeah.
Thanks for sharing. We'll go to the comments and then we'll come back to our panelists. Keep your calls coming now. So I think that the caller, it was okay. So if you can call back, the number is 815-277-5047. We're gonna fix it so that in the next episode we can hear the call, so my guests can hear the questions. So so please, if you want to call, it's 815-277-5047. I'm gonna get some comments here. Great point, brother. This is from Fred. Fred Wolf, thank you so much for joining in. Fred has a very incredible story. If you haven't, I would encourage all those ladies here, if you have time after this show, watch the last episode we did, The Men's Cave. We had a great conversation about men and why we need our man cave and what we talk about in the men cave. And Fred had a very deep, sad story to share as a man that in something is currently going through. Fred is all the way in London, the UK, and he's battling with a lot. He can't see his children. And so, brother, anytime I get opportunity to come on this platform, I want to say, you are not alone. You know, we are all behind you. We're praying for you. So don't, I know you are alone, but understand that the whole community, and we are doing our best with the Progressive Mind Show to make sure that we rally supports around you. And I've actually had people ask me to send your information so they can donate some money to you. But I think at this point, it's not necessarily the money that you need, even though it will do you a lot of good. It's the prayer so that you can come out of that situation, because what you're going through is bigger than you, it's bigger than all of us. And we hope that you know, God will keep giving you the strength that you have mastered all this years. So, brother, thank you so much for getting the courage to chime in and supporting the ladies. This is from Lady Candy McCollum. So I think she passed on the comment to supports SADIE, and there's another one from Maria. She says, "Great conversation, ladies. Thank you so much, Maria, for being part of the conversation this evening." Titan Boss, yes, that's one of your people. Edwidge. This is one is from My Name is Isis. Okay, so yeah, she was making fun of me, so I'm not going to read that comment. This one is for Maria. She says, colonialism is very real even amongst the Caribbean diaspora. The American version colonialism mindset that defines Black and brown women monopolizes the overall conversation and often excludes each other's cultures, making it difficult to critically engage with each other. As we choose to educate ourselves, we will realize we are more alike than we are different. This is a very powerful and brilliant point. Thank you so much, Maria, for chiming in. Sorry you had to deal with that. So this is, I'm sure, Alexandra sharing this as maybe when SADIE or Edwidge was sharing your experience. And so thank you for bringing that comment in, Alexandria. This is from Tricia. She says, the separation mindset within our community has definitely been learned. Yes, thank you so much. And another comment came from My Name is Isis. I have had the same experiences with African Americans, sadly. So it looks like a lot of people have complaints about African Americans. SADIE, you may have to do a lot of defending today.
Wow.
Defense attorney. Let me see if I can get one more out. This one is, hey everyone. Yay, I made it. Shout out to SADIE. Okay, looks like SADIE has a lot of loved ones. We all have loved ones, but looks like SADIE's loved ones are coming through for her today. So big up to SADIE's fans. This is Tobias Prince. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation, Tobias. So go ahead, SADIE. You wanted to make a quick comment, and then we can take a short break and come back to the conversation.
Sure. Okay, now, when it comes to the comment, he was saying that, you know, I guess he's been through a lot in America as far as we're dealing with African Americans. It's just so much when it comes to that situation. And I think that's sad that we all have to just treat each other bad because of an accent or because of a color or because we may be too dark, too light. I just think it's really a bad situation. So I really hate that he had to go through that. But it's like I said, when it comes to that, it's a lot of self-hatred when it comes to your color, when it comes to all type of stuff that was embedded in us. And I just feel like even with that, not just only when it comes to the African Americans, but we're going to be honest and real about a lot of different things. I hear, I was listening because, like I said, I don't really deal with a lot of racism like to my face, but I do see a lot of videos that do surf around the internet. And one particular video that I ran across, it was a African guy. I don't know if he was Nigeria. I don't know what tribe he was from, but he was saying like, oh, I can't stand these African Americans. Look at them. They lazy. and they just what do you say? They look at them, they lazy, and they living off my taxpayers' money. I pay taxes here, and they just sitting around just being lazy, and I was just looking like, wow, it's just sad to me that that we are so quick to down one another. When I look at a lot of different people that come from a lot of different nations that come over to America, I even heard one time, like when I go and get my braids done from an African shop. I don't say much. I just sit there and I observe. I want to hear some of the things that's being said about how they really feel about African Americans when it comes to, Africa or Nigeria. I just, I sit back and I observe and I just listen. And one lady was like, well, and it wasn't directed towards me. She was having a conversation with another braider. And she was like, I don't know why African Americans, they talk it so like Ebonics, like they don't talk proper. And, and I'm just looking like, well, I was going to say something. I said, I'm going to hear her out and see, but I didn't say nothing. I could have engaged in the conversation, but I didn't want to engage because you don't know what people's mindsets is at these days. So I just back and I just observed, and she was saying like, oh, their language is not proper. They talk slang and different things like that. So it's like, it's not only coming from the African Americans, it's coming from people from Nigeria, people from Ghana, and what people fail to realize is that even when people come to America, it's because of Martin Luther King, the things that they went through, even the Black Americans that was here that went through so much when it came to segregation, when it came to civil rights movement. They've been through so much. They got spit on, they got stoned. I remember somebody was telling me a story about one of my great aunties, how she got kidnapped by, a white man, some white men when she was a baby, and my family never saw her again. So it's like everybody got a story when it comes to being over in America. But like I said before, I don't like the fact that, we treat each other like that. Even though we come from a different nation, we should all treat each other fairly and respectful. But, what people still have to realize is that, even coming to America, I hear a lot of talk about African Americans. And people need to realize that, if it wasn't for, like I said, Martin Luther King Jr., if it wasn't for the civil rights movement, fighting for everybody to come to America, to have freedom, to be able to buy food and to be able to take it back to their countries, and support them, their family. I just think that we all should respect one another. And the respect is if you don't see it, I don't see the respect when it comes to us. I just don't. I believe it's all about self-hate.
Yeah, I just wanted to interject and agree with her, because definitely the civil rights movement was what gave way to a lot of these immigration laws and the immigration rights that, now, we have this wave. And because of systemic oppression in this country, a lot of the fight that African Americans were able to gain through the civil rights movement didn't even benefit really from that. It was more so immigrants, and that was systemically designed to be that way. So also the media has this like negative portrayal of African Americans, which I also feel is done intentionally to keep us, divided. And so, like, again, people come with these preconceived notions and into this country of one another, but they don't really interact, or they don't really have experiences. And even if you have one bad experience with someone, you can't classify a whole, a whole community, So to her point, I think it's more of us being more open-minded and having, allowing ourselves to have unbiased interactions with each other.
Thank you all for sharing powerful points. And I'm going to make a quick comment. Yes, go ahead.
I just want to add one quick thing.
Yes.
I have a sister-in-law that she migrated over here to America. She's here now. And one thing she told me is when she came to America, first thing they told her, don't go to the African Americans community. Don't go there because they are bad people. They just rappers, basketball players, and they kill people. And when she told me, I was like, huh? She was like, yeah, like that's what they tell them when they come here. So I see why when people do come to America, they look down on us because they think that we are bad people. But when they get to know us, have patience with us, and get to know exactly who we are, they're like, wait a minute, they're not what they just told us they are really some really cool people. And we really are. You got some bad apples. Every race has bad apples. Every nation, whatever, everybody has bad apples, you know, and nobody's perfect. But you got some really good people that's African Americans that will really rock with you. We will love on you. And like I said, everybody is not the same. So don't listen to the hype. When I say the hype, I'm saying the hype far as when people tell you negative things about us, because everybody's not negative. And, you know, like I said, when it comes to them coming over to America, don't listen to what people tell y'all. Find out for yourself and know us for who we are for yourself. So.
Okay. There's a lot here, and we may have to throw those questions that I sent you. We might have to, and because we will dive deeper into all that you shared. Powerful points. And I really thank you for bringing those points out. I want to ask Damares, Edwidge. I know you may have another point, but give me 1 second. I want to go to Damares. Within the Latin American community, what are some of the sentiments? Do you think that this type of sentiments regarding African Americans being lazy, so to speak, and all these things that they share that Africans perceive about African Americans, do you see or hear the same things within the Latin American community, Damares?
Here's the thing, though. That is one thing that you cannot say about Black people is being lazy people. I don't agree with that. Because
but before you continue, do you hear that? Is this something that is being perceived or is being said within the Latin American community, Cuba, Brazil? Do you hear these things, or you don't ever hear it? Okay.
No, I never hear it.
Okay, all right, but go ahead and continue your points.
But as I was saying, it's for people to say that Blacks are lazy. This is just ridiculous. They just probably don't read the book, because Black pretty much construct this whole country. You know, it was as much as Brazil was built for the slave people. So we cannot say that.
Right.
Not at all.
Damares, let me ask a very funny question. Did you get to learn? Because for me personally, I also learned and unlearned some things when I came here. I had to read and unlearn some of these negative ideologies and beliefs. With you, did you already know this before you came, while you were in Brazil, or did you learn, or you learned it here, or because you were married or had a Black American partner?
No, I learned when I got here. When we were in Brazil, not nowadays, but before I got here, maybe on the 2013, something like that. America is a dream for anybody who come here. So those kind of things I pretty much discover here. Of course I see movies and all the racist thing, but it is a race country, like we always say. But I don't think it is exactly like show in the movie. You know what I mean? Like it's such a black people so bad. So it's not. It's definitely nothing like that from my own experience.
Right, and so you obviously learned a lot from your African American boyfriend, right?
Yes.
So looks like, let's see if we can get this one. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Please go ahead with your question or comment. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Isis, for ringing it. It's rather unfortunate that you all can hear our callers, but I'm going to tell you what she said. She said that usually people from cliques, whether at the workplace, due to the ethnic or race within their environment. So, for example, she said, when they move to let's say they move to a white neighborhood. Well, your neighbors are all white, so automatically you would gear towards them. But then when they happen to be black, if you move to a black and brown neighborhood, because of the stereotypes, we tend to stay away from each other, right? And we don't necessarily assimilate. But if we were, in the white neighborhood, we either, we stay indoors, or we automatically assimilate with white people. But then when we're in black neighborhoods, it's difficult for us to connect because of some of the stereotypes that we've always had in our heads. And she wanted to share that. So thank you so much for calling. Really appreciate your time today. So thank you. So she made a very valid, great point. Damares got her diaspora consciousness from her relationship. So you see why we have to do a lot of intercultural relationships. So let's, so Africans, you are encouraged to go into the African American community and get some wives and husbands. Like the Latinos come into Africa and pick some dark skinned ladies or dark skinned men. Let's do some let's promote that. But that being on a lighter note, we have shared some very powerful points, and I would like us to go deeper into that. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Pilar, I'm going to have you tell us about what you're doing when it comes to solving this problem. It's 7:27 p.m. and we have been discussing connecting the dots with African diaspora women. We want to thank those who have joined us so far. We will take this short break. When we come back, the show will continue. Welcome back to the show. This is the Progressive Minds. We're here in the beautiful city of Chicago. We are on this platform every Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Sundays, we come here at 4. Sundays, sometimes we do have episodes connecting or targeting the African community on the continent. This coming Sunday, we'll be talking about the Village of Peace in Israel. Dimona is a village in Israel that is occupied by Black Americans who left America a long time ago to seek their spiritual heritage in Israel. They are Black Jews, Black Hebrews, however you want to call them. They call themselves the Village of Peace, or at least the village is known to be the Village of Peace. They're very peaceful people, and they have an intriguing story. They have a very telling story to share in this wake of the Gaza war, how they've been treated in terms of the resources that are coming to the country but not reaching them, their journey there. We need to learn about our fellow Blacks that are going through whatever they're going through around the globe. And so join us this Sunday to share more, so we can learn more about what they're going through and what the Shiloh Institute is doing to get them help from America all the way there. The conversation has reached certain congressmen. They're taking it to the Congress. You know, it's a huge conversation now. And thanks to the Charlotte Institute for mobilizing the resources and bringing the stakeholders together to be able to get help and bring that attention, bring the village of Dimona to the world's attention. That if we're sending all this help, if America sends all this help, resources and aid to Israel, then of course the people that live in Israel, everybody that lives in Israel should get it, including the Village of Peace, the people that live there. So tune in this Friday, this coming Sunday at 4 p.m. to learn more about that. And of course, every Tuesday we'll be here. And in June, we are going to be hosting the 4th annual exchange ceremony. The exchange ceremony is geared to connect the African diaspora in a way that can bring us healing, unity, as we share our common cultures, which we see through food, or dance, and fashion. We're also going to have a grand Ghana coronation, or Ghanaian style coronation, where we'll be crowning African Americans as kings and queens. So Sadie, when you mention royalty, it really touches my heart personally, because we understand that our people that left the shores of Africa 400 plus years ago were kings and queens. That's the only way, we believe the only way that African Americans survived what they went through, and still impacted America, built this country, and impacted the whole world, whether through education, technology, manufacturing, civil rights, politically. You have done it all, and even pop culture. And your impact to not only in this country, around the world, is so huge. Sometimes Black Americans in this country do not even know it, how much you've impacted the world. And knowing what you've also done, which is what you shared eloquently, Sadie, about how you have paved the way for Africans to have a smooth sailing here, for us to succeed. It does not matter. There are conversations about how Nigerians are the best immigrants, that have higher education, they've succeeded. All of that would not happen had it not been for the blood and sweat of not only the Martin Luther Kings and the Reverend Jesse Jacksons, but all those people who contributed, who demonstrated, who went on the street, who got bitten by dogs, who got sprayed by hot water hose, chased down, the people that got lynched, all in the name of fighting for rights, to be acknowledged as humans and to survive and to have freedom. And today, Africans can come here and integrate into the system smoothly, because we understand how some Africans struggle when we travel to other parts of the world, whether it's Asia, Middle East, Europe, even Northern Africa. So we really want to appreciate, take the opportunity to appreciate our Black Americans, and we want to show it through our work. And so we want to make sure that we can also give back to the African American after giving us everything. And that's why Progressive Mind Show with the Charlotte Institute and our local partners, even PILAR, we gone to the extent of bringing a king from Ghana to come here every year to crown African Americans as kings and queens, which is what we call restoring the royalty. And so as we engage in celebrating us, June 20th through 22nd, we're inviting everyone to come, all the diaspora community, because this event is geared to bring the diaspora together. We want to be able to have the opportunity to share our cultures so we can begin to appreciate and respect each other and to love on each other. It's a healing moment for all of us, but above all, celebrating of our greatness, celebration of our greatness, and restoring the royalty. We want to show our royalty, we want to wear it, we want to show the world the richness of our heritage. So save the date, June 22nd through June 20th through the 22nd. We'll be sharing more information on our social media pages, the Progressive Mind Show, but also specifically the Exchange Ceremony social media pages. The Exchange Ceremony social media pages, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and of course, you can go on our website to get more information. So we're going to be getting more on that as we roll along. And we want to go back to our audience for the continuation of this show. Pilar, I wanted to ask you, actually, I asked you what you are doing specifically, because I personally know that you're doing a lot. The Chicago community knows you. You're very big here with your work and bringing the diaspora together. So share more about your work in terms of solution to our healing.
Okay, thanks so much, Senna. You know, back in, I think it's back in 2010, I was watching the news. I don't watch the news anymore. That's just a small disclaimer, but I was watching the television and I saw this commercial for Dove, Unilever, and Walmart, and they were doing this global campaign where they, you know, wanted people to come in and audition all over the country to be a part of, I think it was the second iteration of Oprah's Real Women, Real Beauty campaign. I don't know if you all remember the ladies with the underwear and all that stuff with Dove. And then, so this was a second iteration of it. And it had to be something really unique about you that you wanted the world, you thought that the world should celebrate. So I love my gele. I don't have it on here, but my gele, and I coined it my Tower of Power. And it's a mix. My form of the gele is a mix between the Egyptian turban and the traditional beautiful gele. Traditional from Nigeria. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm going to put on my gele and I'm going to go and audition. And I did just that. And I won, right? But here's the irony. The white folks who were the conveners of this commercial, they were like, okay, now you're going to be in the commercial. I mean, can you remove that? And I was like, remove what? And they were like, you know, that was to get me in basically, but they had a whole different vision of how I would show up in the commercial. And I was absolutely blown away. Absolutely not. And then I went on this whole thing before the group of judges, why this gele was a part of who I am. Like, I can't separate myself from it. And when I was done, they were all like, I got the slow clap. And they were like, yes, okay. She gets to keep the gele. So this, you know, my family in Trinidad, Puerto Rico, friends, this Dove commercial showed all over the globe. It was a Class A national. And I received so much, even from Dove Unilever. I never forget, I met the head of Dove, and he told me how popular, how many ratings, like how much attention that this gele had received, right? And so I took the money that I got from this amazing commercial and I said, you know what? I gotta use this, get this money, and I have to start a movement, right? Because I mean, my Latin women, my West Indian women, my African sisters, I received so much mail and love from women seeing me rock this gele in this commercial. And that sparked Gele Day. So Gele Day has been around since 2012. And Gele Day is an amazing movement where it allows me to bring continental African women, West Indian women, and African American women together as we all take ownership of the gele. Like, we're all children of the original gele. And the idea is that that's the mother, that's the great grandmother, the original Ashoke fabric, the traditional way that it's done. But we have to remember that children, we were stolen. We're a stolen legacy, a stolen people. So Africans are all over the diaspora. And we have to remember that while the original gele was this thing, it has taken on so many different beautiful iterations. The TITUN, and from NOLA, New Orleans, all of the different ways that we have had to shift to survive. Right. So this is what Gele Day celebrates. It celebrates all women and our different iterations of the head wrap.
Beautiful. Thank you. We will, as we go along, we'll have you share how we can, anybody wants to be part of this or want to know more, we will have you share that. But thank you so much for sharing that. There were some very key points that I wanted us to hammer on or look at critically as we're about to spend the next 20 minutes tonight because of time. So I'd like us to go through it as quickly as we can. Ebonics. A lot of Africans. Now let me just read this. Ebonics is a beautiful language. We have created. Therefore, it's worth celebrating. A lot of Africans on the continent and even here don't know that the slang English is Ebonics. I learned it 5 or 6 years after I'd been in this country, and it was out of curiosity. So if Africans hear you speak that way, and to the point, yes, a lot of Africans think, oh, they can speak good English, they talk somehow, what's that English? Because we pride ourselves in speaking, English from the colonial masters when we're coming, so where did Ebonics start from? Sadie, help educate us how it started and why African Americans speak that language. And does it mean that is the only, do you only speak English that way, or you are able to also speak it the way we expect it to be spoken, which is the American way or the British way, but this is just something you carved for yourself? We want to know that for somebody who has no idea.
Okay, I think that's kind of funny, but I mean, when we growing up, we have different hoods, when it comes to, in America. I'm from Chicago, so I grew up on the west side of Chicago. And, people come up with the slang talk, that was like a code word, as far as with people in the communities, a certain code that they talk. Some people talk pig language. It's kind of something like French, but it's kind of like a tongue thing. I don't know how to speak it, but I can understand pig language. So you got different communities of African American people that talk slang, and that's why you hear like people from down south. They may say street or squeak, or they may say something like with their kind of like the country accent that they talk. Well, I can't recall on some of the words that they say, but you'll know that they're from wherever they're from. Like if they from down south, everybody from down south kind of got the same language. Okay. Like if I go to Memphis, they can tell by my accent, by the way I talk, that I'm not from there. They say, "Oh, you from up north." It's like you just know what part of the country that certain people was from. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I mean, this is the language that we was brought up on, and when you think about it, I'm looking at all the different people that's on the panel. We all come from different places.
Right.
And one thing I could say about everybody that's on the panel, but I can't speak from, I got to push me to the side and speak for all you guys. When you guys go home or want to leave America, y'all have somewhere to go. Y'all have a place that y'all call home. Y'all go back to your families. Y'all go back to your home. Here in America, we can't say that. We here. We don't have no place that we can call home or we can escape just to get away from the noise and get away from racism. We're here. We're stuck in this and we are here. And this is our land because we here. We can't go back to Nigeria or Ghana or Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic. And we right here. And that's what a lot of people get misconstrued at because we don't know what land we come from. Like I did a ancestry DNA. And when it came back, it said that I had Nigerian in me. My family, my history comes from Nigeria. And I was like, wow. So I'm like, I want to learn a language, And as I was beginning to listen to some of the language, and I come to find out just doing a little research on Nigerian. They speak so many different languages. They are really smart, intelligent people. And I was just like, wow, I wonder, if my ancestors did come from Nigeria, like the DNA said, what tribe was they in? It just make you wonder. You'd be like, man, I really want to know more about me. I want to know more about where my people come from.
Okay.
But that's being here, we don't know, so when it comes to the language, we talk slang and we come up with the rap music, but that's just our way of communication.
Communication, great.
Yeah.
Reason why that was a very important question to me, and even though it may come across as maybe a little funny, is because it's real within the
Yeah,
African
yeah.
community,
Yeah.
right? Because in Africa we equate intelligence to your eloquence of the English language,
Yeah.
right? The more you master the grammar, the Queen's language, or French, the more you're seen as an intelligent person.
Yeah.
And
But
so
you
we
have to
bring
realize-
right, and so we bring that notion here.
Yeah.
So when we hear people speak good English, oh yeah, okay, this is people are good.
Yeah.
When we hear Ebonics, then we say, oh, Black Americans, they're not intelligent. They can speak good English, right?
Yeah, but you
So
have to realize where we come from, where the land we come from,
yes,
the language was beat out of us. So therefore it was the language is kind of broken up, because you may hear a little bit of where we come from, you may hear a little bit of slang up in there, or a little bit of Ebonics in there, because our language was beat up out of us. That's why
yes,
the Bible says that they don't know the land that they come from. So we don't really know the land that we come from, because whatever language that we did have, and trust me, we wish we had our language, but we
yes,
don't. We don't even know how to
yes,
even begin with our language. So it was beaten out of us. It was
yes,
beaten
yes.
out our ancestors.
I wanted to add something. Is that okay?
Yes, I want you, but before you, who was going to ask something? Yes, before you do that, please hold on to that thought. Edwidge, the way African Americans, and again, I'm just sharing what the sentiment so that we can unlearn these things.
Yeah.
The way African Americans, the way she's talking about, we want to learn our language, we want to connect. And I hear this from a lot of African Americans. And that is why we do what we do with our programs, to reach out to them, to embrace, and to also learn their history. Do you think that Africans, when we come here, do you hear us wanting to know African Americans in as much as they want to know us? I mean, our culture. Do you think that we yearn and we strive to learn their history and culture here, or we just go on about our business? For me, I know what it is, but I want to hear from you as a Cameroonian.
Okay, thanks for asking. And I'm just going to be very, I think you say we can really talk, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Most of us don't.
Okay.
Especially in our first generation. And the reason is because we usually come here with a very, very specific purpose. I told you I came here as an international student. My purpose was to study, get good grades, focus, go and workforce and become somebody, in America. It's only when you start understanding that you're going to live here a long time, you start hearing about the issues in the society, that if you are a customer, if you have a friend, or if you have somebody that's close to you that can tell you a little bit more about it, that's when you start asking the questions. I've been here over 20 years, and even up to today, I can shamelessly say that I've never really took the time to sit down and try to learn everything
about African American culture and their history.
American culture. I know about the Martin Luther King story, the popular stories. It's only very recently when I took a step back from corporate America and I decided to get into this entrepreneur route. And it really down to me that I need to connect more with this community. It is time to connect more, because these are my people.
Yeah.
When we come here, what we need to know is we need to actually support this community, not go against them. We need to, say that it took us also a long time to learn. I have to say the media has not been our best friends.
Yes.
Social media and the internet and everything.
Yes.
Even us African, there's so many divide in Africa, even in my own country. In America, it's race. In Africa, it's ethnicity. It's tribe.
Tribalism. Yes.
We have big tribalism problem. We look the same. We talk the same. But we still do that. I still remember coming here and having Ethiopian friends and say, "Oh my God, you guys look like this. That's not what we learn on TV." until you learn that you guys look like this and this.
Right.
No, it's just like everything we see on TV, everything we're being taught in school, it's not really true.
Yes.
My last intervention, I mentioned reset the stereotype. We have to do that. We all have to do that. We have to relearn how to connect. We have to be especially intentional about how we connect, who we connect to, and why we're connecting to
There
them.
You go. There you go.
We are here to enforce your power, your strength in this whole fight about we are one.
Yes.
We are strong.
Absolutely.
We need to get united.
Beautiful. Damares, I haven't forgotten about you. I'll come to you in a second. Go ahead, GLOMERY, quickly with your point because we only have 9 more minutes. GLOMERY.
It's okay. You can move on because I honestly I forgot.
You forgot the point?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing. There's a comment that I want to also share here, which is my name is the same ISIS. She says, very honest, Edwidge, immigrants come with a purpose. So we don't even try to assimilate or understand the various races and cultures. It's only once we marry or have children that we begin to try. And so this is a learning moment for us. Thank you so much for sharing, Isis. Okay, so Damares, any comments to all the points that we've shared so far?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted, so we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So my point is, it was really nice to understand everything about it. We are all different people for different women, for different culture. I'm still, because my culture, we are very open. Like a Brazilian person is very open to everything. Sometimes people think that we are you a true friendly? What's going on with you? But it's not. It's just that it came from African, even though the slave in Brazil was slaving and was beaten up, they still went to the community, the favela, and have their own party. They open up. That's why it's bringing up the carnival, the biggest carnival in the world. We celebrated, even though we were beat up, we were humiliated, we still try to make agreement with everyone and bring everybody together. That's my culture. So when people be like, why are you so friendly? Why you talk to everybody? I don't really know. That's my culture. That's how I was raising, and that's how, even though the other races in Brazil, everything, Black people in Brazil, we're still very open for everyone.
Okay.
So why we don't have much that like, even though it's racist, but we don't have. You can go to the community and see white people over there. When I say community, we call favelas. That was usually the Black people.
How about Black people here? When Brazilians come here, do they see Black people? Do Brazilians come here and try to learn African American culture? Do they see African Americans as folks who have helped build this country, and we need to connect with them and learn more and unite with them? Do you see? Is that a sentiment in the Brazilian or the Latino community?
For the Brazilian community, yes. I cannot say for all the Latino community. For the Brazilian community, yes.
Yeah,
like,
yes,
as I say, at the beginning, even though I have like a problem with a Black woman, but nowadays, majority of my friends are Black people, Black African American people. My best friend, he's an African American people.
Okay,
African American man. So
before then, did you have issues with Black American women?
No, I had just one time that was like, it's different. But after that time, other women was very open for me.
I'm tempted. How long did you have you been with your ex? Maybe your partner, your husband. You said your husband, right?
Yeah. Totally. It's over 10 years though.
10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've been in this country in total how many years?
My first time in this country was 2007. I was still dating.
Okay.
And when I came here to live here, it was 2015.
Okay, great. So you've dated mostly Black Americans.
Yes.
Okay. And before you dated them, or while you were dating them, you saying that your perception towards the Black Americans it's not necessarily some of the negative ones that we've shared so far, right?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. I'm wondering if that's a general thing that's shared within the Latin American community, or you just have a unique way of approaching people.
I probably have the unique way of approaching people, but I do think that overall, a Latin American people
open.
We are open, yeah. Latin American people, we are very open for the culture.
Okay. All right. Okay. Maybe because who knows? There are a lot of beaches. You guys, are nice. You have style. So I don't know. I'm just joking, but I'm trying to figure out what brings that hospitality and openness, in the South Latin American people. Perhaps, like you said, you carried it from Africa because that's where we are. For some reason, ours is really, really messed up. Maybe because we were colonized heavily and controlled by Europeans who instilled their values in us and taught us to hate ourselves and prevented us from learning about our brothers and sisters who were taken away from Africa, and made sure they put in measures and images in media to further disconnect us. And that's perhaps why Africans who come here have certain peculiar behaviors towards African Americans, which we are trying to unlearn and undo. And I think we have all shared very brilliant points. But it's 3 minutes to the top of the hour. And I know you women, we have to go back to our work in the family. So we'd like to wrap it up here. Come back perhaps another time and continue this wonderful conversation. That said, 30 seconds for everyone. Closing remarks. We'll start with GLOMERY. Please go ahead.
I just would like to say that thank you again for having me on this panel, and just for us to do our own research, be genuine, identify your own unconscious biases that you might have of other people, other cultures. And again, do your research, read, watch some documentaries, educate yourself, because I think that that's the only way that we're really going to combat these, misconceptions of one another.
Okay. Thank you so much, GLOMERY. We will go, Edwidge, please.
I just want to say thank you all for joining today. If you are local to Chicago and you are listening, definitely connect with us on TITUN Cocktails. And I want to invite every single one of you to come out for the launch of our new line of beverage, the TITUN Spritz.
Okay.
We would love to see you. We're doing it at Soldier Field on May 18 during the Chicago Fire game versus the Columbus, which is the MLS champion right now. One of the reasons we're doing this way is really because we want to connect the culture. We acknowledge a huge diversity gap at the Soldier, and because we are Africans, we want to bring the whole entire diaspora to the stadium. Let's bring our culture to the stadium and show them how we do soccer. We love soccer. You're going to get free drinks, free beverage, sponsored by us. It's one way for us to actually bring the community. So SADIE, everybody on Discord, PILAR, will love to see you. Come and see our culture. Come and see how we use our instrument to really animate those games and have some nice suya barbecue. Go to my website. That's where all the details of the event are, tituncocktails.com.
What's the website? What's the social media handles?
TITUN Cocktails, tituncocktails.com, and all the handles, Instagram, IG, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. It's TITUN Cocktails.
What's the date, please, again?
May 18. It's a Saturday. We'll start promptly at 4.
At Soldier Field.
Soldier Field, yes, downtown Chicago.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Closing remarks, please, Damares.
Thank you very much for having me here. I really appreciate it. Only thing that I can say is let's be less judgmental than we allow ourselves to get to know each other.
Right.
Once you don't judge as much, you accept a person for who they are, and then you can see if you can interact or not. You don't have to interact with the person, but at least give it a try.
Right. Wow, that's powerful. At least give it a try. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Truly appreciate that. Pilar, please.
Each one teach one, and just choose to be the love that you want to see in the earth. It's just that simple. Choose to be the love and embody that. Love on your sisters. Anyone listening to this call, I challenge you, the next time you are walking down the street, or you're in the store, or in the grocery aisle, or wherever you are, and you see another sister or woman of color, that's my son. He's scraping his bowl. Aiden, wait, son. Sorry, that was a mama moment. The next time you're in the aisle and you see another woman, another sister, speak to her, look her in her eyes, and say, "How you doing, sister?" That's
I love that.
all I got to say on that one.
I love that. I wish I had 5 more minutes for you to go in on that, because very, very important. Thank you so much, Pilar. Damares, I love your point as well, and we would like to close out with SADIE.
Real quick, I just want all the community to know, when it comes to my African people, my Hispanic people, whatever, the ones that carry the same hue as me, I want y'all to know, when y'all go through, we go through. When anybody in y'all community get hurt, we out there, we mad, just like y'all, man. We out there advocating for y'all. So just want y'all to know that we have not forgotten about y'all either. We love y'all as well as y'all love us. Unless, sometimes we may not think so, on both parts, but we want y'all to know that we do love you guys. And if somebody hurt y'all, whether it comes to police brutality or whatever, we right there because we carry the same hue, and we right there on the side with y'all, mad and trying to advocate for y'all just as well as anybody else. So the last thing I'm gonna say with this is we stronger together. And that right there is how the media keep us separated from each other. They put the different things on the media, say, oh, this happened, they never put nothing happy on the news. But they put all the negative things on the news to come against the Black community, to come against the African American community, to make us look so bad that nobody want to be around us, that nobody love us, nobody want to be just near us. But we are so talented. We are one of the most talented people that I have ever seen before. We can sing, dance. Even when it comes to the African dances, that's what our culture is. That's where all the dancing come from. But we are stronger together. And if we only take a time out, just believe that, and redo our research, know what the things that we've been through, know the different languages or the broken languages that we created because it's beaten out of us. So just know we are stronger together. Do y'all research, and don't forget to check me out every Sunday on Soul 106.3. That's FM radio. I come on every Sunday from 8 to 9 p.m. That's the Sadie Star Show on Soul 106.3. And I love you guys, and hopefully I will be back on soon. Peace, love, and happiness.
Wow. Peace, love, and happiness.
You too, Sadie.
Yes, thank you.
Last comment here. Love your energy, Pilar. Choose to be the love. Agreed. Choose to be the love. Agreed. Man, you guys have said it all, and it's so much power and love here. We are humanity, Black people, and let's go out there and show the world that we love ourselves. And so we are glad that we have been able to learn and unlearn some negatives today and put on more positives. And we're gonna continue to be the light that we're supposed to be. So I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you all, beautiful queens, again, because when women come together, you change the world. And so we are glad that we can see this much love. There is a proverb in Ghana that goes like this, that when you educate a man, you educate an individual, and when you educate a woman, you've educated the entire community. And so as our women come together and bond, man, I think the diaspora story is changed for good forever. And I truly believe this because I see the power. Looking forward to hosting you guys again. It's been so lovely. And thank you, Pilar. Thank you, GLOMERY SERRA, for coming on the show again. Edwidge, thank you so much for coming on the show. Damares, thank you for coming. Pilar and SADIE, my beautiful sisters. I just want to say thank you all. I love you guys so much. And this comment just came through. She says, progressive minds, peace and blessings, beautiful African sisters. Yes, beautiful African sisters. Now, for the brothers who are watching, the ones who are married, they said they're married. There are other ones who are not married too. So if you want to, if you want to connect after here, please feel free to. We have let's learn from Damares that we need to do this more, right? We need to cross, intercultural marriages or intercultural relationships. Even though that is on the lighter side, this has been a very powerful evening. So stay tuned this coming Sunday at 4 p.m. as we learn more about the Village of Peace. And then come Tuesday, we're going to be here talking about relationships, marriages. Very, very important. We're going to learn from some experts on this platform. Also, remember to save your date, 20th through 22nd. 22nd being the live coronation of kings and queens by the king from Ghana, Togbi Nyahota Maklo, His Royal Majesty Togbi Nyahota Maklo, coming all the way from Ghana again for the third time as we restore the royalty and bring the African diaspora together to celebrate our cultures through food, our fashion, and dance. On that note, this has been your host, Senna, aka Alinko, on the number one community building show in the world, The Progressive Minds. See you, and remember, to whom much is given, much is required. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.